I'd say less than 5% of collectors know that M81 Woodland never existed. M81 is an entirely made up term, which is why on the Gear Locker, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of Woodland BDU jackets. And even then, did you know that these aren't all made the same? In my never-ending quest for knowledge and resources, I stumbled across a few different people talking about the different types of Woodland BDU jackets that you will see. And I collected them and wanted to show you guys what you want to look for different types in different time periods. Because let's face it, the myth of Woodland jackets being so readily available and cheap at surplus stores is kind of a thing of the past. God's plaid has jumped into the collector's market. And I will keep you waiting no longer. Let's jump right in with what collectors call the first pattern of Woodland BDU jackets, the Type 1. The Type 1 jacket came out in 1981 and was produced until about 1983. Some of the key things you can look for to tell is it a 1981 jacket is a white tag, but closer to the 1983 time range, they came out with green tags for these. These were made exclusively in a twill material and have some standout features. First, being that large Elvis collar. This is the only pattern that features that very wide collar, as the rest were all shrunken down. On the main outside pockets, you'll notice that they are sewn all the way around, with only one corner allowing for some expandability. This is on the upper pockets. The lower pockets do allow for that expandability as well. They're slightly bellowed. And on the sleeves, you'll find a thin, slim adjustment tab with a couple of buttons. Now again, this type of jacket was made until about 1983, and contracts were still filled out after that. But the next iteration came out in 1984, and another one in 1985. And this is the Type 2. The Type 2 jacket is similar, but featured a number of different design changes. These exclusively have a green tag. You'll see one right here, and underneath that lower pocket. And these were produced until 1992. In fact, this top right here is dated 1992, one of the last of that contract. Some of the key things that you'll notice is that the collar is significantly reduced. This is a standard slim collar that was seen throughout subsequent versions. And the sleeves still maintain that slim adjustment tab. The upper pockets are sewn on the inside now to allow for some more expandability. And another feature was added to these jackets that I really like, and that is on the back, some waist tab adjustments. This is exclusive to this type of Woodland top. My top is also made of a 50/50 Nyko twill material. However, a hot weather ripstop version did come out in 1985 and was also produced until 1992. And the last version of these Woodland tops that came out showed up in 1993 and was manufactured until about 2007, when the Woodland kind of stopped being made altogether. This is a Type 3 jacket, also in that 50/50 Nyko twill. My example was made in 1999, and here are some of the features, or lack thereof. The collar is the standard collar that you'll see on the Type 2 as well, not the large Elvis style. Pockets are again sewn on the inside so that there is that expandability, and the waist tabs have been entirely removed. Another change that was made is the sleeves. Here, you'll see a much wider adjustment cuff. This, while being twill, was also produced in a nylon cotton ripstop variant, different from the 100% cotton in the Type 2 ripstop variants. And before we get to the top that I'm wearing, let's talk again about the differences between each of these. I'm going to show you all of these parts side by side now, so let's take care of that. Here are the three types, Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3. Again, all in that 50/50 nylon cotton twill material. Here, you see on the Type 1 a slim cuff adjustment tab, which is maintained on the Type 2. The Type 3, though, is significantly wider. The collar on the Type 1 is very wide, whereas on the Type 2, it is far slimmer. This is again maintained on the Type 3. And speaking of one-off mods, the Type 2 has the waist adjustment tab here on that side seam going towards the back. You can see there are two buttons to adjust the tightness. And this is going to be slightly harder to show on camera, but let's go through those pockets. The top pockets are sewn on the outside, which allows for almost no expandability. Whereas on the Type 2 and 3, you can see that they're sewn on the inside as well and allows for some sort of expanding. On the Types 1 and 2, the bottom pockets are sewn on the outside, whereas here on the Type 3, they're sewn on the inside and bottom. Now let's talk about the top that I always wear in all of my videos. This one is actually kind of unique. As I'm sure many of you noticed, this one is raid modded. I got this as is. I did not do any of the raid modification myself. And from what I can tell, it kind of follows the Fort Bragg mods that you see sometimes posted on Gucci Instagrams or eBay. This was a $15 surplus store steal, by the way. And here's what's interesting. This top is dated 1988 and comes in the 100% cotton ripstop variant, which is standard. That's to be expected. The pockets are entirely modified, with the lowers being moved up and at an angle, and the upper pockets being moved to the shoulders with Velcro added. So I can't really go based off of that. But what's very interesting is if you notice the sleeve adjustment cuffs, you'll notice that the sleeve adjustment tabs are the Type 3 style, not the Type 2, which was produced up until 1992. And that's something that makes this top kind of unique. I have not seen any other tops dated in this time period with this style of adjustment. So it's very possible that this was an early experimental style or just something that was done by the operator. But again, this style didn't come out until well after, 4 or 5 years after this top was produced. So why was this done? Very interesting in my opinion. And one of the many reasons that I love wearing it. And going off of that note, I'm sure you can tell there is some variation to all of this. Contracts were made and things were produced to spec, but you'll see different types issued all throughout. If you're building a kit from 1989 or 1990, know that you don't have to stick with the Type 2. The Type 1s are possibly seen that late as well. So if you're building a kit and using this kind of video as reference for the different types, know that there's some variation and don't get too caught up in that. But of course, focus on those details. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. This is the Gear Locker. Hope you enjoyed some of God's plaid and not M81 Woodland. We'll see you guys in the next one.